If you were in a pinch right now and you need a running back or wide receiver to flex, maybe you're in a deeper league, maybe you have guys on a bye week, injuries, here's some guys to consider that are rostered in under 50% of ESPN leagues. Demarcus Robinson for the Ravens plays on Monday night. He's coming off of a game with 8 targets for 64 receiving yards. They might be missing Mark Andrews. Rashad Bateman is out for the season. The Saints give up the 8th most points per game to wide receivers. Robinson is questionable, so look at Devin Duvernay if he's out. Gus Edwards exited last game, leaving Kenyon Drake to be the lead back. 62 rushing yards. He had 4 catches for a receiving touchdown. It's not the easiest of matchups, but volume is key. There's some risk with Isaiah McKenzie due to his fluctuating role, but he's had games of ranging between 5 and 9 targets. Only had 1 last week, but he did score his 4th touchdown in 6 games played. Slot wide receiver with Josh Allen has had upside in the past. Terrace Marshall last week saw 9 targets. He took 4 of them for 87 receiving yards. He played 86 and 93% of the snaps the last 2 games. He's stepping into a bigger role with CMC and Robbie Anderson out of the picture in Carolina. Khalif Raymond has saw 7, 6, and 4 targets the last 3 games played, and he's been on the field a ton. Back-to-back receiving yard weeks of 75 and 76 yards. TJ Hawkinson is out of the mix. He looks like the wide receiver 2 for Detroit. For the Colts, Paris Campbell didn't have a ton of work last week, but he was on the field 79% of the time versus Alec Pierce, who was on the field for 57% of the snaps. Weeks 6 and 7, we saw 18.7 and 23 fantasy point weeks out of Paris Campbell. Trevor Lawrence has a favorable matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, making Zay Jones interesting because Zay has had 4 games of 8-plus targets from Trevor Lawrence and 3 games above 10 fantasy points with a high of 24.5. He is on the field like the whole game. Mecole Hardman had a huge game last week. He had 28 fantasy points, but a little bit of an asterisk because he rushed for 2 touchdowns. He does have 3 weeks in a row of 12-plus fantasy points. I'm not sure Kadarius Toney steps in and sees a ton of snaps right away, but we have to see on that. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler will eat. I really like Joshua Palmer and Gerald Everett, but if DeAndre Carter is a go, he has an illness or something right now, he might be a sneaky play. Matt Collins has had inconsistent weekly targets, but he's been better than Hunter Renfrow this year. He's had 3 weeks of 8-plus targets, 4 weeks of 11-plus fantasy points with a high of 29.96. Tougher matchup for New England, but with Devontae Parker out, Tyquan Thornton, the second-round rookie pick, might have a boosted role. Then last, Julio Jones, who has had a terrible year because he couldn't stay healthy, but last week he came back and scored a touchdown, which was cool to see. Sneaky anytime touchdown bet this week, Julio Jones. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin will see the majority of the work, but it's interesting to see that 4 of Julio's 11 targets this season have been in the red zone. Again, some deeper league plays, but I know a lot of people are in a pinch. Good luck this week.